afternoon and good evening. Uh, so, I hope you have a fantastic day today. It's a post Independence Day. Yesterday was the 79th Independence Day of India. So, very happy moment. And then we are very happy to bring back a global strategy talk show. And today it's one of the very most important session, which is strategy focus for small and mid-sized enterprise. This is one of the most important the subject we should be able to discuss today. Prior to welcome the guest speaker, Malapraj Garu. So, sir, welcome to the show. So, I would like to give an introduction to you, and then maybe I can just give a briefing on the backdrop of the event. Okay. So, Mr. Mallaparaju is a business transformation specialist, coach, strategist, and systems thinker. With 30 plus years of cross industry experience, he helps ambitious entrepreneurs scale sustainably by simplifying complexity, designing scalable systems, shifting mindsets, and he is an IIFT alumnus and certified international business coach. Mallapraju blends strategy, design thinking, and theory of constraint to drive clarity and growth. He has worked with 50 plus founders to boost revenue, reduce firefighting, and build powerful businesses. A lifelong learner, a author, and an astronomer, and self-declared PhD in Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. So, welcome Mallapraju Garu to the show. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for
Yeah.
the kind introduction.
Before starting the key topic, I would like to give a quick introduction on fruiStrategy talk show series. The main objective of global talk show series is to bring selected experts in the domain of strategy management and also in performance management and related subjects, the experts, and connect to the companies who needs help. That's the main purpose of this event. And this is our 10th talk show in strategy management. We had a fantastic show so far. I'm very happy that Mallapraju Garu is here. That is something I know he's expert in this domain. So I'm very happy to moderate this show. A quick briefing on the sponsor is fruiStrategy is a comprehensive strategy management solution to support you, to support all the organizations to execute strategy through system. So it's a software solution. Of course, we combine with some consulting and advisory to help you to do the strategy management. So that's the introductory part. So let us go with the program. I think we have like a 1 hour 15 minutes talk show, and of course, and anybody raise questions, we can take it up. You don't have to wait until the end of this program, but anytime you feel free, you have any questions, just post it in the message box, either it is in YouTube or it is in a LinkedIn. Okay, so the program is live in LinkedIn and also in YouTube. Both channels are posted in your group. Okay, so this is the background. So now let us come back to the main topic. So with your permission, Mr. Malapraj Garu, I will start the program just to give you one of the most important thing. It's like a context. So many small and mid-sized enterprises work tirelessly but still feel stuck. Okay. So, why do so many small and medium size companies struggle to achieve long term growth despite their hard work? So, this is the main topic we will start with. Okay. So, I think Rajgaru, would you like to just start the context from this point of view? Yeah, over to you.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Though we are talking about strategy overall, I think it is important to recognize that you know uh, SMEs are actually the kind of backbone in the Indian industry. In fact, some statistics say that they employ over 65% of of the overall employment. I mean, they're the largest sector, right? And they have a significant contribution to the GDP. In fact, my numbers are a little dated, and therefore I'm not hazarding the numbers right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the moot point is this: these are really smart people, right? Very good in their own domains, and with years of experience and a lot of hard work. Okay. Now, what really happens? You know, why are they struggling? This is the flip side of the whole thing, right? Close to about 93% of SMEs struggle. In fact, the statistics,
93%.
yes.
Hmm.
In
Wow.
fact, the statistics are a little more concerning in the sense that, you know, of uh, of about, let's say, 100 startups, right?
Mhm.
About 75% actually survive the first year.
Mhm.
Okay, and those that survive, amongst them, the about 93% of them are actually struggling for a longer period. If I may,
Mhm.
continuing the background. So typically, what happens is when a business starts, right? The first phase usually is the a struggle phase, right? Now, what does that struggle phase mean? They're struggling. The word struggle sounds very negative. The point is, there's a lot of effort in customer acquisition, trying to position themselves, etc. So they do some good job of that. But then, you know, once they get out of that stage, they survive. That is, they're able to get some customers and everything. They go to a next stage, which is more like some kind of a stability.
Mhm.
Now, again, the stability might be like a misleading term, right? But the point is, they are able to kind of sustain themselves. They have certain number of clients, etc. And to probably about 50%, they have some repeatable process. Then they broadly get into something which is more like a successful phase, which means that you know whatever is working well. They are able to get more clients. They are able to uh, generate revenue and some profits, and they are able to stay above the water. Now, what
Mhm.
happens in these three things is basically the they grow, and the hallmark is that the founder or the entrepreneur is neck deep involved in the entire organization. I mean, the operations as well as leading the organization, right? And then the next stage is basically something which we call scalable, which means that
Mhm.
the founder or the entrepreneur is able to replicate the processes, the systems, etc., and is a little more relaxed in the sense that he's focusing on the direction and you know the bigger issues for the business, and he probably has a team which is taking care of the operations, and also he doesn't have to really deep dive into the works. Then comes actually this founder moves into another phase, which is more like
Mhm.
which is a very happy phase, which is like what do you call, like an investor, which means he brings in the money and the resources, he brings in the expertise, and he's like guiding, but he's not involved in anything. He has professionals who will actually take care, who will start. He just gives the vision, and then they take up everything. Now, the most of the SMEs are stuck in the first three phases. And when I said 93, right, 93% of them are probably languish around the struggle phase for at least 3 years. And then comes a moment where they give up, or they go to the next success mode, right? But the struggle still continues.
Mhm.
So now I come back to your question with this background. So why are they struggling? They're struggling because, uh, in my conversations with, several over now about 500 entrepreneurs and founders, right, and business owners as such, I find that they're struggling because of lack of clarity. Okay. The second thing is when I say lack of clarity, let me qualify that. I don't mean to say they have no clue as to why, I mean, how they are running. Let me rephrase that. Uh, be clear about what they're doing, okay? But that is largely in the domain of their expertise. For example, an IT professional who's an ace at his, architecture or driving the IT solutions or even delivering IT solutions is an ace at that. But then where such a person
Mhm.
struggles is running this service as a business, okay, because they are not the same thing. So one of the problems when I say clarity is there is a confusion between expertise and business. They're two distinct things, and a person's expertise is not the business. I will try not to
Yep.
elaborate it,
Yeah.
but okay.
Great.
Now,
Just let me take one step back.
sure.
Okay. So when you have a startup,
Yes.
usually the people, the founders, are two kinds. One
Yes.
is either they are coming from a very tech background,
Yes.
technology, whether it could be manufacturing, it could be IT, or it could be anything else, or a product or something, and something, or the founder must be maybe coming from sales background. Okay, so for them, for both, so the challenge is different.
Yes.
Okay, maybe I think the main challenge is from who are coming from tech background. Okay,
Yes.
rather than sales background. Okay, maybe. Okay, so again, the opportunity for the business, maybe in a two or three types, motivates them to start the business. One is they wanted to start with they're passionate about starting thing, and they come up with an opportunity.
Yes.
Okay, maybe somebody offer a project or something, an opportunity come, a collaboration or something, it makes motivates them to start a business. That is number one. Number two is they want to invest really seriously. They put serious money. Either it is most of them put their own money to start with, and then they try to go to the market. Okay, and then they try to explore whatever, and they
Yes.
struggle. The third thing is very lucky, so they have a very ready-made offer to start a company, and then they have a business. Okay, so these three companies have different challenges. Now,
Yes.
sir, how does that? The one of the most important thing is, let us say you get some initial project, and then do it properly. Then the real problem starts, the sustainability. Okay, that does this 93% what you said just said comes in the second part of the story. Maybe after 6 months, after 1 year, they start the business. What do you
Yes.
think? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I mean, so you know, uh, it's interesting because one of the questions I ask my coaches is, is your business running by default or by design? Okay, so symptoms of default are these that so there is never a doubt about the technical capability or the ability to deliver, but there there arise challenges if you're like winging it. Then there arise challenges like how you managing your team, how you aligning various processes, right, how much is the entire thing dependent upon a business owner founder, right, uh, what are the repeatable processes, how much are they institutionalized, uh, all of these things. And of course, there's the other side of it, which is basically managing the cash flow, right? Managing the marketing and sales. if you go down the layer below, then what kind of offers you make in terms of sales and what kind of positioning you have in the market, etc.
Mhm.
Everything requires a design. It cannot just happen that I got a project, it is running, and and it kind of and the second project will come and you'll do that, and revenue is coming in, you're getting some profits, good, but that's not really really what brings peace to the mind of an entrepreneur.
Mhm. Great. So, very well said. Okay. Now, many organizations, or I should call it almost all the organizations, especially small, mid-size, they always have a priority on the operations.
Yes.
Okay. That whether we like it or not, that is a fact. They are so engrossed on the operations, and founders, without their whether they like it or not, they will be taking responsibilities which they should delegate, but they should be doing it. Something like accounting kind of thing, So
Yes.
they will be very seriously involved in the detail.
Yes.
Okay. Now the problem here is, uh, how does that, the founders or the managers or leaders in the small and mid-sized business people, how can they realize that the strategy is one of the most important thing for them, and then how they can come out of these operations, and then how can they pay attention to the strategy planning? So before we even talk about strategy for them, so let us talk about the reality. So now
Yes.
everybody is busy in their operations, in firefighting, meeting customer delivery, paying salaries, as you said, cash flow. Okay, I think that is true. That is
Yes.
true for every startup, every mid-size, every small organizations. Okay, so what is that? So how can they start thinking strategically to
Yes.
start?
Yes.
So just can you throw some ideas on that?
Sure, sure. That's a great question, right? And therefore, I'll repeat my earlier question. The first thing they need to ask themselves is my business running by design or by default? Okay. It is best answered honestly by each founder to oneself. Now, coming to the point of strategy, strategy means different things to different people. Okay, so let's look at it this way: that first point, before really thinking
Mhm.
about strategy, think about clarity, right?
Mhm.
What
Mhm.
is it that you want to achieve? What is it that you want to do? What is it you want to what is the, like you mentioned rightly, that they start the business with certain things in their mind. For example, it could be like, I have got the expertise and therefore I would like to exploit it. And,
Mhm.
you know, set up a business for myself so that I experience the freedom of, time and money, right? Some would also think, let me set up a legacy for, my family to continue. Or, somebody else could also have a goal, or a aspiration that they want to create an asset perpetually for their family, some like a money machine, right? All these are the various things, but what generally goes missing behind all this is, why am I doing what am I doing, right? Now, when you drop that ball, what really happens is you naturally get into the process of executing your business. And that is what you rightly said. It's too much of operations, too much of looking into every function, right? Too much of looking into, too much of firefighting. So, and for some, it is so bad that they cannot even take a 1 hour time off from their business. Right? Even probably while they're having their lunch or dinner, there are calls happening. And if there are no calls happening, they're still thinking about their business and then worrying about what's the next problem. So my first point to your question is basically about the fundamental clarity. Why are they doing what they're doing, right? This basically drives. a question as to, a kind of a self-assessment, or they could take a mentor or actually ask their friends, family, whoever have been through this journey before, because one person cannot do everything. So there will have to be, there's a way in which you do business, whatever type of business that is, and whatever business model that is. So I think there needs to be a self-assessment with an understanding that what is it that I can do myself, and what is it that where I need help. So there I come to my second point as to why they run into these problems. Uh, it is fear.
Hmm.
Fear of loss of control, okay, or fear of looking vulnerable.
Hmm.
I find the second one being very, very, very prominent. What happens is our media, our society puts a premium on looking very successful. Okay, as a result, asking for help or looking like I do not know this becomes what do you call very, very difficult thing to ask.
Hmm.
And therefore I often say that asking for help is probably the bravest thing an entrepreneur could do, right? So because once they have a picture of what where they stand, what is it they can do, and a clarity where they really want to go, they will be able to figure out the gaps. Now the gaps come in two forms, right? Gaps in terms of where they need help and what needs to be done, and two, gaps between what they need to think forward, like what will my business look like in 1 year, 2 years, etc., because I want to create a legacy, right? What is that, as against where is my next client coming from, has the marketing guy sent the promotion out, is my ad coming out, or have we contacted, followed up on this offer that we made to this particular client. What will I do if I don't have clients this thing, how will I keep my team occupied, etc., etc., right? Thousand questions. So
Hmm.
so if you look at it, the clarity of purpose, understanding and having an assessment, and then identifying where you need help, where you need to augment, where you can
Hmm.
outsource those decisions, right? And
Great.
then really focusing on what you're good at so that you can actually help your business.
Hmm.
You do your best and you get people to, do their best. Now, from
Fantastic.
there, I flow into just one last point, having a view of strategy, right? Having a strategic viewpoint. Now, I'm not trying to put a ceremony around this thing called strategy as a big document or something, but having this clarity helps you also give very clear directions to your team and
Hmm.
let them then do the best within that. Most of the times when your teams fail, they fail because strategy is in the founder's head.
Founder said.
They know what to do. But the point is they are not articulate enough. So they need to figure out a way in which they communicate this clearly. Not just to the stakeholders like
Great.
investors, not just to the their clients,
Mhm.
buyers, but also
Mhm. Great, sir. I just like one point I just mentioned. Ask help.
sure.
So I
Yes.
think this is one of the most. We did not even start about strategy part. Okay,
Yes.
so just we are setting the context.
Yes.
Asking help. I think I can answer that question because I have
Sure, sure. Yes.
suffered. I have suffered
Oh
because of
yes.
that. Not by not asking questions.
Yes.
Sometimes whether it could be in technology or in the business or whatever. So especially as a founder. Okay, so whenever you have any issue or something, don't feel shy. Just ask somebody help. No, no problem. Okay, think that you don't know this. That's fine. But asking questions will save a lot of resource and lot
Mhm.
of pain because in my experience, without doing a rework, no business will be successful. Okay, so you have to do a rework, whether you like it or not. If
Yes.
The one of the most important fundamentals of the business is you should not give up. Keep on trying in a different ways until you get your model properly. Very rarely people find the best model fit for them and working in one shot. Very there maybe God's blessings on them or something. Okay, maybe they are super intelligent or whatever. We don't know,
Yes.
but it's almost always a trial and error. Okay, so if you ask, you may find a very simple way to do that. Okay, so asking questions, as you said, Rajgaru. So this is fantastic way to get connected and then also be relaxed. Okay, so you always can take help.
Yes.
So now let us start the
Yeah.
strategy part. Now, uh, there are two things. Very large organizations. Large organizations have strategy managers, VP strategy, Office of Strategy Management head, the PMO head. There are team. They are there. The CEO is there, CFO is there, leadership. They do strategies. They have the luxury, liberty to do it. Of course, it's an organization has grown, so they can do proper strategy management process.
Yes.
Whereas a smaller mid-sized organizations, they don't have a dedicated team to do that. Okay, and it is in the minds of founders or the CEOs or whoever leading the business. Now, my question to you is strategy management process is only for larger companies, not for smaller companies? This is always a question. So, what do you think,
Yeah,
Rajgar?
that's a great question again. That's really a great question because there are a lot of myths surrounding the word strategy. Now, when I say
Mhm.
myths, I'm also including people's opinion about what strategy is. So, strategy sounds also very glamorous, right? Like I'm a strategic leader, so I look very different from so-called normal leaders. The point is this: uh, strategy is not about size. Strategy is about focus. Whether I am a small, let's say I am a small businessman who's selling, pen, right? The point is, I need to be very, very clear as to what my focus is. My focus, I mean, when I say focus, I need to say where will I invest my time, money, and effort in running this business of selling pens. Okay. Now, when I start thinking about it, I start thinking about who do I sell to, where do I sell, right? How do I promote myself? How do I position myself? It can be a what they call sasta sundar tikau kind of a thing, or it could be something like a premium pen, right? A cross or whatever. And accordingly, I know my focus. I know where I want to be. I know which direction I
Mhm.
want to take. I know my nitty gritties based on this clarity. But that myth, right? It is only for you know some large company with huge budgets and with a department called strategy, etc. Uh, while that is true for large companies, right? The variables that the minimum variables that a small company should have is what's their focus really, right? And where they really want to put their time and money and effort. Okay. And why is it so critical, right? Why is it so critical to come out of that myth and understand? An SME actually has more constraints around the resources and time. And therefore, there is a greater demand or greater emphasis on making sure that even that making every second and every rupee count. Okay, and therefore you need to think strategically, correct? And because you cannot afford to waste time, like you said, trial and error. right, is a very dangerous game to play. I can understand strategy at an overall level sometimes ends up being trial and error, but it cannot go down to your operational level. Today I'm going to try this client, and tomorrow, oh, this is not working. Therefore, let me try this client. Oh, I'm hearing, and real life the same. So that one of my clients was into security audits and security, cyber security systems. So when he was struggling, he, one of the things that used to happen to him because of lack of focus is he would jump onto the next, shiny object.
Hmm.
So he was trying to reach out to businesses and was not very successful. And by the time I started talking as to, who are your clients? So he said, I've got my clients, I'm targeting clients in Europe. These are like, large, farm, farm machine companies, etc., etc. Why? Because of some compliance in Europe that they need to also have a cyber audit, a systems audit done for people who are going to manufacture these farm equipment. Okay. Uh, the point is, then I asked him, how much is your sales cycle? He said
Hmm.
it generally takes about 1.5 to 2 months on an average to kind of listen. So I said, okay, so try. I said, I gave him the basics, and then I said, go ahead, do it. One thing that he learned through that trial and error is he wasted around 3 months of his time, which is when he got very serious and he said, okay, what should I really do? Okay. And he had all the answers. He just needed a structured way of really approaching the whole thing, right?
Correct.
So,
Correct.
yeah, sorry, I'm just going on. But the point I'm trying to make is driving your clarity and getting out of that rut that strategies for somebody big. It is too complex. It requires some knowledge of some huge frameworks, and you need some mumbo jumbo software, etc., etc. No, uh, that's not true. I mean, you could. It is simple, and it has to be here, and then you have to articulate it properly, and that's actually clarity.
Perfect. Perfect. So, what I understand is strategy management is not only for the big companies.
Yes.
Strategy management is equally, maybe more, needed for small startups and also in the mid-sized companies.
Absolutely.
So, my point of view, my perspective is for the larger organizations, you have a team and then you have resources to do some kind of trial and errors, or
Yes.
maybe R&D or whatever.
Absolutely. Yes.
But for small mid-sized companies, you have a limited resources, you have a
Yes.
limited cash budgets kind of thing, so
Yes.
a margin of error is very less. Okay, so
Yes.
that is the reason you need to have a good strategy in place.
Yes.
Okay, so you must invest in the getting strategy right. Okay,
Yes.
now let us say strategy is required for all the companies, including small and mid-sized companies. Okay. Now, how does that strategy? What is you mean by strategy? So, can you just explain in the layman's term,
Yeah.
Rajgaru? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. I think it is good to avoid all the terminologies and jargons associated with strategy.
Hmm.
Right. So I already gave that answer away, but I'll repeat it because it's worth repeating. uh,
Hmm.
Strategy is about deciding where you as a business want to focus and spend your time, money, and energy to achieve what you have set to achieve. Okay, this is what it is all about. What it is not is it is not something like
Hmm.
a complex document or a glossy document. It is not something that is like a showpiece. You want to say that we have our own strategy, etc.
Hmm.
Or it is not a ceremony that you need to put on, like get into a hotel a business room and then get your top people and then get them to conjure up something, or it is not what do you feel a showpiece that you do once and you forget about. In fact, I have a very funny anecdote to share over there. So, in my management school days, you know, uh, we were conducting something that's called leadership series, and therefore we were going on meeting various leaders of the industry. And I was a young student, so we went to meet Mr. Y. Deveshwar, who had just about a year prior to that taken over the chairmanship of ITC from Mr. K.L. Chand.
Mhm.
So one of my smarter classmates asked him a question, and we were in his room, in his office. So he asked him, "Sir, what is a typical day of a CEO looks like?" So, and this, he said, "My job is basically." He showed us the window, and he said, "And there's a window sill." He says, "I turn my chair towards the window. I
Mhm.
keep my feet on the window sill and stare out of the window and dream the whole day, right? And maybe from 9 to 10 is the only time when he signs whatever he needs to sign, or probably 3 to 5 or something he meets people." Then he laughed and he said, "Okay, I don't mean daydreaming like this, because whatever my company is doing today, right, it has already been planned by my predecessor. Okay, my job is to see where my company is going to go in future." I did not know at that time that ITC, it was known as a tobacco company, right? They were already planning a big foray into agriculture. And I'm talking about late 80s and early 90s.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the point I'm making is, big or small organization, right? The clarity, where am I taking my business? Got it? That clarity, that focus is actually your strategy.
Correct.
Okay. Now,
Mhm.
how do we work it? Whether we have a 100-page document or can we start simple? My answer is you can do both. But the
Mhm.
point is, always, always run for clarity, because lack of clarity creates confusion, and confusion creates discoordinated action or inaction.
Mhm.
So
Great.
I would say every company should, I mean, the founders, the leadership have the responsibility of, uh, of working on the strategy for the business.
Yeah. Great. Great. I think I'll just put this in a little different way.
Sure.
Maybe we all know that Richard Rumelt in the
Yes.
crux. What did he say? So
Yes.
basically, to make it very easy to understand,
Yes.
one needs strategy
Yes.
to just make it easy, very easy. If any organization, whether it's a startup or a mid-sized company, or even as a large organizations, but in the context we are talking about small, mid-sized companies. So,
Yes.
so what is the main challenge, or paramount challenge, or a key challenge you are facing today, which is obstructing your business growth as per your plan?
Well,
What is
yeah.
it? It is stopping you. I think every founder knows this.
Correct.
Okay, it's not that they don't know. All we need to do is we need to just acknowledge
Yes.
what is your key problem,
Yes.
which is stopping your business
Yes.
from growing. So once we understand this, okay, now the paramount challenge or a key challenge, whatever you call it, that could be very simple thing. It
Yes.
could be your cash flow.
Yes.
It could be your product development.
Yes.
It could be your sales,
Yes.
or it could be your maybe any problem with the region, or maybe any other regulatory problem or whatever. So you
Absolutely.
identify those critical problems first.
Yes.
Okay. Now strategy means there is not a separate thing. So somebody, a strategy manager, will come and do some kind of analysis. No, that is required. But
Yes.
where you really start is, what is it objecting your
Yes.
business to? Identify that and
Yes.
solve it.
Yes.
Okay. So while identifying and solving, you might do some analysis.
Yes.
We may call it as an external analysis
Yes.
and also internal analysis. Okay. So external analysis will tell you, just not only just look for the short term or something, you look for next 3 to 5 years. What are the external factors which are going to affect your business?
Yes.
So it's all about industry. So how the industry is going,
Yes.
how your organization, how is the region, what are the opportunities. You just identify them, and then you do the internal assessments. How do you respond to this, and what is your capabilities? How to do that? How,
Yes.
what is your funding, kind of thing. So once we do these two things, and you know your problems, I think you can have your strategy. Okay.
Yes.
So, and you know what you want to do and what you don't want to do, as you said. Okay. And then you come up with your very simple, make it very simple, and identify. And then identify, make sure that we identify what not to do also. It
Exactly.
is one
Yes.
of the, because you know, the with limited resources, you try many things, and then you lose the track.
Yes. That
So
is so
now,
well said.
yeah. So now this, with this context, so how to define a strategy. So what you call, how to start, like common bottlenecks for the failures, where you want to start. So you want to define common bottlenecks for the failures, and then you define strategy. So what is, how do you advise,
Okay.
Raj?
So that's a great, okay, good question again. And I think I'll pick up a couple of things from what you said. So, like you referred to Richard Rumor, right? He says a very important thing, and I think you elaborated it uh, well, but I just want to condense it back to, how he defines it. He says strategy is your response to anything that is becoming that is an obstacle to you know your ability to deliver value. Okay, I am probably paraphrasing. Okay. So we were actually a step below that. We are saying that, okay, you need to understand where you deliver value, to whom you deliver value, etc., etc. Right. The second layer that you also referred, without using this thing, like when you said what not to do, right? So strategy is also a filter. Remember, I said, one of the problems with which happens when people are trying to grow by default is running after every shiny object. You know, today, oh, business A, for example, in my business, I predominantly cater to IT services businesses. Yes, I have other service businesses as well. Okay, and one of manufacturing or those kind of businesses. Where am I coming at is my strategy for my business is my filter. Will I do certain things or not? Okay, where am I going to put my focus? So, for example, I don't take up so much of manufacturing, but I do help manufacturing companies with marketing and sales. Got it? That's my filter. I know I'm going to add a lot of value over there. Now I will have the circumstances, like you rightly said. Okay. So I'm coming back to the basics, like a broken record, that my thing about who am I delivering value to and what is that big problem I'm solving, has to be crystal clear. I cannot say, like, I've had clients, IT services clients, who is to begin by saying that I provide services to anybody who has IT requirements. That is so vague, because every person will say, this is not a problem I have. Look at it from a manufacturing client perspective, who's looking at getting an IT service. at the back of the manufacturer, this thing is, how do I automate my stuff to make my processes more efficient and save money and have a better turnaround time, right? He's not worried about whether I want the solution in .NET or Java or a cloud or AI. His major preoccupation is about I'm losing this much money here. My competitor will run away because if I don't catch up in this technology, I'm going to miss these parameters, my turnaround time, my ability to, provide that valuable customization to my buyers, those kind of things. So coming back to the question, what I always focus is have this particular clarity, right? Then I know every SME, every businessman, even a startup has a process because that's a method. Okay, even if it is madness. Got it? The point is when you start thinking about how you want to reach your goal, uh, this is where I'm saying that all the SMEs are smart people. They know that they can, for example, they can think out a process. They know how they are doing it today. They can definitely think through as to how they, what the end state should be. How should it actually happen? And what are the problems in between? I'm trying not to go into details. I'm actually giving you like a 30,000 feet thing, but this is relevant to just about any business, right? For example, I know that I will have to streamline my processes, make them efficient. To make them efficient, I know I need to progressively get my workforce aligned in terms of skills, knowledge, and attitudes, right? I
Mhm.
also know that I need to manage my finances, etc., etc. Now, this could be a big company does it in a big way, right? A small company does it in a smaller way. But the point I'm trying to address over here is start with a very simple one page thing. Think very simple, don't think jargon. Just get that thing. I it's basically like this. What problem am I solving? Who am I solving it for?
Mhm.
How am I solving it? What is my process today? What are the places where where I can be better? I'm doing it today, right? I'm
Mhm.
struggling. I'm doing trial and error. Finally, by burning midnight oil, I am giving my client the end result, in the last moment, or maybe apologizing and delivering it with a delay. But the moot point is this: I get to know, uh, where I need to really improve because all these are my blocks for my ability to deliver this seamlessly, efficiently, and without me burning out. Now, what is a big business call this? They call this frictions in the value chain.
Hmm.
Got it? So, big company strategies talk about, and the same thing is actually valid for even SMEs.
That is smaller. Mhm.
Yeah. Therefore, when SMEs talk about, is it a costly affair to get, I can't afford strategy,
Hmm.
it's luxury I can't afford. The point is, there's a huge cost of not investing your mind on a strategy
Hmm.
because it comes not just in terms of inefficiencies, it does not only come in terms of the personal pains and personal frustrations. It also comes disguised as lost opportunities, okay, wastage of money, which you cannot afford to. A large organization can afford to give, a
Mhm.
manager uh, 10 days of paid time off, right? But a small company cannot. I mean, SME cannot afford
Yeah.
that,
So
right?
it's a yep. So it's a you said very nicely that at least you need a one pager,
Yes,
some sort of product market fit kind of thing. Okay.
exactly. Yes,
What is the problem you are solving? How you
yes,
want to solve? So
Yes.
what is the assumptions you have made?
Yes.
So what are the key thing and what is it? Okay,
Yes.
so I have one question here, Mr. From Faisal.
Yeah.
So wondering in present times, is it advisable to consider 3 to 5 years horizon for the strategy?
Very good question.
Yeah.
Right.
So would you like to
So
answer that?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I've got a very short and a long answer. I'll start with the short answer first. So when you have a strategy, right, you're fixed on a goal. Okay. Now the distinction I want you to get is be very fixed on what you want to achieve, but be very flexible about the path.
Hmm.
Got it?
So be fixed on the what you want to achieve and be flexible on
About
how
the
you want
path.
to achieve.
Exactly. Right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because now let me give a motherhood term, like I'm selling strategy, right? Strategy builds in that resilience for you to be able to respond to changes. You know why? Because you're already thinking. Let's say technology changed from something like a, uh, like an automation, right?
Hmm.
Uh, like an automation of a set process to
Hmm.
something more different, which AI enables. Got it? Now, if you are aware that my customer gets this, he's happy. But I can delight my customer by trying to ask him, would you like it in this form, or this form? Right?
Hmm.
Because you have these three clients, but if you tell me, you know, for the third form that I talked about, uh, with that actually increase your sales. So I'm actually putting an element of the sake of delighting my customer, and therefore I'm thinking already as to what will get me from my current state to that state where I'm able to give more value to my customer.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
if you're
Mhm.
working by default, I can guarantee you 99% of entrepreneurs do not have that idea of what can be better than what they're already doing.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so my thing is and the other beauty is uh, entrepreneurs know change is a constant thing, right? And this is my long form answer because changes do happen, and
Mhm.
because these changes happen, you have to be resilient. You have to have, and this is what big companies again call that frictions, right? What was normal, see, for example, a banking application, so normal, I sit at my home, just transfer money from one account to another account, or I use my mobile, right? And I kind of at a click of a button, I'm able to transfer you money, and it's within seconds, it is already there in your bank. Got it? Now, banks identified a friction point. What if I, in this hurry, I do a mistake? Then they added another feature because it came out of a need, right? They allowed a time where you can also recall the money.
Mhm.
What you're
Mhm.
doing is you're building the customer's confidence. I can give you thousands of examples even in retail.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
they are day by day, they are basically getting to a point where um, they are delighting the customer by making sure that they are not only presenting choices, they're you know uh, proactively providing, removing all the blockages to getting what you desire to get. I want an Apple latest phone,
Mhm.
but maybe I'm finding it very costly.
Mhm.
Got it?
Mhm. Mhm.
Today's systems actually already know that, and therefore they already kind of proactively tell you what are 5 ways you could actually own this phone in 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Got it?
Mhm.
So the point I'm trying to make is technology is changing, customer preferences are changing.
Changing.
Because earlier I would wait for a delivery. I was okay. They would say it will take 10 days to deliver something. Today, today the next
No,
generations are so habituated to a remote. I press a button, I want the results.
you need results. Yeah.
Correct.
Mhm.
So, what smart business people are doing is they're actually changing their this thing. And this change is continuous. but their goal to be the shop to sell everything in the world, right? Like Amazon or Flipkart, or for that matter, a bank saying that we have your back. You go ahead doing what you want to do, enjoy your life. Right?
Hmm.
We make it happen for you like this.
Great, great, great.
That thing never changes.
Yeah, yeah. I like the what you said. You be fixed on your goal
Yes,
and be flexible on the approach,
on the path.
because at least by fixing a goal, so at least your mind is towards that direction.
Yes.
It will not
So
help it. You will by default you avoid distractions.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
and then you focus on it. I'm just we are talking in the layman terms.
No,
Okay,
no,
so
absolutely right. Because one of
then
the
yeah.
let me just add something more to that. One of the problems that most of the SMS face is also the inability to distinguish between strategy and tactics. Okay, so for example, strategy for me is a map. Okay, I want to go north.
Hmm.
Right now, the tactics are whether I will use, for example, the choice of whether I will fly to that place or whether I will, take a train or cab or even walk it out. Right?
Hmm.
Whether I will use the shortcut to a forest or whether I will use the highways or whether I will avoid highways and then go through, the countryside roads and enjoy and go, etc., etc. Got it? Those are the tactics I deploy,
Hmm.
and everything, the decisions are based on where I want to get, how soon I want to get, what are the resources I have, etc., etc. So you got
Hmm.
it right. So typically, my my what I want to achieve is fixed. My path I can always be flexible because things are changing. Suddenly, maybe a highway section is under repair, so I will have to take a detour.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
can't calculate, how much of gas I will have in my car. Calculate that, from point A to point B, I need like, 2 gallons, and that's all I will carry. Example.
Hmm.
A very stupid example. But the point I'm trying to say is being rigid about, even the path is actually a fatal mistake most of the SMEs make. Um, and that
Great.
is a contributor fact to the thing that they cannot distinguish between a strategy and tactic.
Fantastic. Great. So now let me just put it in a formal process.
Yeah,
Okay. Maybe we can do it in a three parts.
sure.
Maybe 5 minutes in each part discussion. So one is, let us say, one thing is very clear for us so far. Our based on our discussion is strategy management is required for small and mid-sized organizations,
Yes,
whether we like it or not.
yes,
It is required to set up
yes,
the goal and how you want to achieve there or whatever. Now, let us do it in a more practical sense. So, how to do that? So,
yes.
how to do a strategy planning part, strategy formulation
Right.
part, or a strategy planning part, whatever you call it, strategy
Yes,
formulation. Let us make it a term. So, strategy formulation part,
sure.
and then how the organization is aligned towards that.
Yes,
So, alignment of the organization, it's not only the head of the business, everything, everybody
yes,
in the company, every resource to align towards the strategy.
yes,
And then third thing is, and then transform, execute it. Okay,
yes,
so that is the most important part. Yes, you have done a
yes,
good planning, formulation, you have aligned everything, but execute it. Okay, if you slow down in execution, you slow down in the results.
yes.
Maybe
Execution
sometimes
is
it may
everything.
backfire and you'll be out of business.
Yes,
As you said, only 93% of startups have trouble. Okay,
yes,
uh, so let us start with that. Let us make it a very formal process, very simple process.
yes,
So strategy formulation. Let us
yes.
talk about that.
Yeah,
Then alignment of the organization, and
yes.
then we talk about the execution part. Okay. So what do you think about the formulation part?
Yeah, so formulation, like I said, you don't have to build a ceremony around it, right? So if you know where you're going, now let's look at how do you translate that. Okay, this is what I call in a very this like figurative way is don't boil the ocean. Okay, Good you asked me this question, because one of the other mistakes
Mhm.
that SMEs make while crafting their strategy as well as implementation is trying to take on too much, and therefore they end up being overwhelmed. Now let us look at how do we stop that overwhelm happening while maintaining the clarity. Okay, like Mr. Faisal said, like I have a uh, 2 year horizon. I need to, for example, reach like a $3 billion sales of my product. I'm just making up on the fly. My point is, I cannot hit 3 billion from the word go, right? And I cannot wait until I really hit 3 billion, wait and then react to it. Both are two extremes. What do I do? Um, I set up, let's say, so my practice is I set up a 90-day objectives.
90-day objectives.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. In next 90 days, I am going to do a couple of things. Ideally, I would say between 5 and 7 objectives. And there's a human psychology behind it. A human mind actually can focus on 3 to 5 things at one time, can remember that many diverse items. It can extend to 7, but anything over that becomes an
Mhm.
over.
Is a problem. Mhm.
It becomes a
Mhm.
problem. Like suddenly, so practical tip, when you do a to-do list in your day, you may have 10 activities, you may have even 100 activities.
Mhm.
But when you want to work, pick up the 5, maximum of 5, work them, then move to the next 5.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will
Mhm.
always look over. And I use the same principle in, crafting your strategy.
Mhm.
So my path is clear. Your goal
Right.
is clear.
Yeah.
What is it that I do in the next 90 days that will contribute to my journey to hitting the 3 billion? Maybe it is something as rudimentary as, I need to start making myself known as a brand.
Mhm. Mhm.
Or maybe I need to start manufacturing, or I'm just making up as you go. But the point is, I can pick up this, achieve these objectives, put them in flow, and then have some new objectives, and then take them along the way. Two,
Mhm.
three things happen over here. When I set objectives, I will also know whether I'm meeting the objectives or not, right?
Mhm.
My comfort is in the fact that my direction is clear. Okay, my flexibility is in the fact that maybe I can juggle a few objectives in priority, which means, okay, to help with branding right now, I will do that. I will keep a 6 month horizon, but right now I will focus on sales.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay? So my
Mhm.
sales objectives probably, like, let me hit $100,000 uh, target in the next 3 months. I'm
Mhm.
making up the numbers right now.
Mhm.
Don't challenge me
Mhm.
on the logic. But my point is this: I have set up these objectives. One, which are contributing towards my journey towards the goal. Two, they're actually breaking down the complexity for me. Three, I am able to communicate this to my team. Right? I'm not going to tell my marketing person a different message than my salesperson, or to my production person, or maybe the logistics and the supply chain, to my vendors everywhere. Because I now know that, hey, I need to hit $100,000 mark in the next 3 months. For that, I need these three things happening from you, Mr. Sales Manager, from you, Mr. Marketing Manager, from you, Mr. Vendor. I need these goods ready by this particular time so that I am able to listen. So these are
Mhm.
all my priorities, my objectives. Correct?
Perfect. Mhm.
So, so
Perfect. Yeah.
that is
So
the
let me maybe explain in from my
sure,
point of view or my the terminologies.
sure,
I totally agree what you just said. Uh, you focus more onto execution, defining the objectives and execution part.
Yes.
And we have some questions also. We'll take it up. Okay.
Sure. Sure.
So, from for the as far as the strategy formulation is concerned, to make it very simple, it is required. Strategy is required for larger organizations and
Yes.
also smaller organizations. It is not required that you spend 1 month to formulate the strategy and you spend a lot of money in the formulation of the strategy. No.
Yes.
Okay. It is required. So that is one question is there. We will come back to that question. Strategy
Sure.
is required,
Sure.
whether it is. So in the strategy formulation part, okay. So make it very simple. You do analysis first,
Yes.
strategy analysis.
Yes.
So you know where how what is the depth of your waters first.
Absolutely. Yes.
Do the external analysis,
Yes.
do the internal analysis. Very simple.
Yes.
Just look around you, what is going on, and then you know that what are the strategic choices you have. So what are the choices you have.
Yes.
So what are
Absolutely.
the things you can do, okay, and then you select them. You cannot give everything for everyone, no. So based on your target customer, so
Yes.
what are the strategic choices you want to make
Yes.
and what you don't want to make. So
Yes.
once you know that, the third thing is come up with a value proposition.
Yes.
Okay. Now this is the value, as you said in the template. You write what is the value, what is the problem you want to solve.
Yes.
So what is the value proposition for your target clients?
Yes.
Okay. So arrive at that point of time. So now once we come to that stage, so who is your customer and what is the problem you are solving and what is the value you are providing and what is the trade-off, what you are not providing to him.
Yes.
You identify that first. Okay. Now once we identify that, now how to achieve this? Okay, how to achieve this? Okay, so it's very simple. Even you don't need any analysis. How to achieve this? So to achieve this with your current capabilities, what is it and what you don't have? You need to build it.
Yes.
Okay, so if you want to build that part, okay, so what is that? How much resources you need to spend? It could be money, it could be whatever.
Yes.
Now, closing the capability gap for next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever period you choose, is your strategy plan. The closing the capability gap to deliver your value is your strategy plan. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, once we do that, while closing the gap, okay, so you identify your objectives.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes.
Now, if you have a 10 objectives to achieve, so that this will close the gap of your capabilities, you cannot do all of them together because you have other things to do, you have operations to do, you have salaries to pay, you don't have luxury, especially in the smaller organizations. You don't have luxury. Okay, so you select them. You said 5 objectives, I will go with the 3 objectives, maybe 3 to 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
3 to
focus
5
on that
years.
and try to achieve
Yes.
stage wise. Okay, now this can be done in various ways. Now, arriving at objectives is one of the most important part. The moment
Yes.
you identify the objectives, that means your problem is half solved.
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
at least you know what exactly you want to do. Now
Yes.
you may use different tools. I personally prefer, the best tool is a balance scorecard because it
Yes.
is very easy to understand and it is a universally accepted, and
Yes.
also you will find the people who understand this everywhere. So balance
Yes.
scorecard is, as Faisal, as Yaudin said, balance
Yes.
scorecard is the easiest way to do it. Now another methodology, OKR, is there, objectives and key results. One of the main problem in OKR is, how do you know your objectives? Okay, the
Very good
moment
question.
you know your objectives, you
Yes.
can execute it. That's not a
Yes.
problem. The methodology, what it says, it's not a major difference between balance scorecard and OKRs. The main thing is, how do you know your objectives?
Yes.
So the moment you know your objectives, it does not matter what is the methodology you use.
Yes.
Okay, so because once you diagnose your problem and you know what is your solution, how you do it, you want to do it in 1 month, you want to do it in 6 months, that's up to you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so now, sir, we both agree that we need to have objectives and then we need to do it in a priority basis. to it. Now, while doing this, how can we align the whole organization?
Yeah.
Top, I think the change comes from the top leadership, and then everything in the company, including mindset, the motivation. How do you think? How can we align the organization? Because without aligning everything in the organization, which includes your projects, whatever you do, the people performance, the
Yes.
systems, whatever
Yes.
you build, and then your the risks and compliances, and also
Yes.
the budget, whatever you want to do it. So how do you do that? Aligning the whole organization. Can you just give brief in your real-time experience? Mhm.
Sure. Yeah. Actually, this is a huge question, but I'll try to
Break
break
it
down.
up.
One very good thing. Yeah. One very good thing you did was you did a great job of actually dissecting how do you get started, because I glossed over it in the initial thing, right? So assessment, self-assessment, and following some way of diagnostics where you assess where you are, what is the gap, etc. is very important. After you're very clear about where you want to go, right? So I think you covered that. Then the question that you also asked is how what is the process through which I go by defining my objectives. Okay. And the third part that you mentioned is more leaning towards the implementation side of the business. When I say implementation side is, for example, how do I really, uh, you know, kind of make that prevalent across the organization, okay, and then have individuals,
Hmm. Mhm.
work on that so that we meet the ultimate goal,
Mhm.
right? So why I said this is a huge thing is I would divide it into one, like you rightly said, methodologies. Two, I would add metrics. Three, I would add the leadership dimension. Okay. So first, let us look at methodology. Talking about methodology, I wouldn't call OKR as a strategy.
Exactly.
Okay.
So OKR is not a strategy
OKR,
tool; it's an execution tool.
yeah. It's an execution tool, and it is also more like a uh, yeah. I mean, I think this is
Make it literally.
enough to say that it's not a strategy tool. Okay, it actually helps you kind of translate your strategy into recognizable milestones, which
Acceptable.
OKR calls objectives. I am also used to the term of calling it objectives because my philosophy is you can't boil the ocean at one go. So you have to take a little bit of
Correct.
water and then start boiling, right? So the the thing to do is basically once you know what are your priorities, right? Once you know what your uh, how do you get to your priorities, right? Is what will give you a breakdown. My favorite methodology of arriving at it is basically I use a mind map. Okay. Now there are should everybody use a mind map? Not necessarily, but it is very logical. For example, for me to like boil 10 liters, if I have a 750 ml this thing, right, vessel to boil, right, I'll use that capacity, right, and then start boiling water, 750 ml at one time. Meanwhile, I'm going to figure out if I have the resources and if I have the need based on time that I need another stove or burner and another vessel. Got it? To do it the same. So this is a very stupid analogy. But the point I'm trying to make is that you break down your goal, what you want to achieve, where you want to be, into where you want to be in the interim stages. Like, you know, we use this 2, 3 year horizons, right? Now let me give it in the form of my favorite this thing and where I want to be at the end of this year. I will break it down into quarters, 4 quarters, 490 days. Okay. The point I'm trying to make here is in first 90
No.
days, I sit down and then focus on those things. This is where focus is. Got it? That I'm going to focus on those things that are going to help me build certain things which I want to take up, so that those things that I build will actually ultimately take me to my goal. Okay? We can talk thousands of examples, but in the interest of time, I would basically say, okay, I don't have salespeople right now. So I'm going to, within these 90 days, I'm going to achieve two objectives. I'm going to hire a sales team of X number of people and also train them on my product and service. So my end object, the meeting of this objective by end of 90 days, hypothetically speaking, is A, now numbers come, the metrics, right? These are the outcome metrics. Let's be very clear about this. I'll come to the other form of metrics as well. The outcome metrics for me for this particular exercise, this meeting, this particular objective, is I am supposed to onboard, let's say, 5 sales people. My outcome tells me whether I have achieved my objective or not. But is that the only metric?
No.
No. The second thing is I need them to be very proficient in my products and services. I have a benchmark for that, probably a learning management system or something. Got it? So these are my end metrics, but there are also in-process metrics that help me. For example, have I released out my ad, every Monday on a newspaper, on a channel, or on the net, etc.? Have I reached out to, let's say, 50 recruiters, given them the job description, etc.? So these are checkpoints, correct? How many resumes I have received? How many interviews can I do in a week? Remember, we just talked about we are doing other things as well, right? So my point I'm trying to make here is this breakdown is a mental activity. The rest are all really the tactical activities.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm measuring both. For example, if I don't reach out to optimal number of recruiters, how can I get the right resumes for identifying 5 candidates?
Perfect.
Got it? I'm failing there, so I need to course correct there. Next gap is basically if I'm not able to interview, let's say for 5 candidates, I need to interview, let's say, 125 candidates. Got it? So I need to schedule my time. I just cannot. And maybe each candidate goes through a 2 or 3 rounds. Now, so as a founder, I will also probably have to identify, do I have the bandwidth or do I need help over here? Because my end objective of getting these 5 people into sales and trained, etc., ready for market, is uncompromising. And therefore, I need to figure these small things out.
Correct. Fantastic. Yep. Okay. I think I totally agree with you. So you identify the strategic objectives first. For each, that is, I think, that the strategy part, identifying the right objectives. Then for each objective, you need to have measures. Okay. So you need to have measures, and for all of them together, so you need to have measures. Because the measures is one how you want to achieve this, and then you put the target for that. Against that measure, you need to target. Now, all these objectives, there are the measures for that, maybe level 1, level 2 measures kind of thing, and then there is a cause and effect among themselves. So you execute your objectives in such a way that which are driving cause and effect. Okay, you don't select haphazardly. Okay, so you select in a way, in a sequence which is required for your organizations to achieve the value. Okay, so then once you have this, all this fits into very nicely into a balanced scorecard concept. Okay, so you have objectives, you have measures, you have targets, and then to close the gaps within that measures, you need to do something. Okay, so that doing something is your strategic initiative. So this could be your marketing campaign, fundraising. It could be your establishing a business process, achieving a new region, capacity. It could be anything. Okay. So for the execution part, so use the balance scorecard or whatever. So OKR also, it's a very decent product as far as the execution is concern. Now, the moment we have it, because of lack of time, we have, okay, now the what is the importance of the monthly review? Because
Oh,
you do all this homework very nicely, but you don't have the performance culture. If you don't have that performance culture, all what you are thinking is a waste of time. Okay, so now the
yes,
performance culture comes. So what all the objectives, religiously measure them, report them. Don't debate about whether it is correct data or not. That we should not debate
yes,
about. It should be correct. Okay, then
absolutely.
the moment you have the correct data, you debate about how to achieve that, and then
Yes,
what went wrong, analyze them honestly, and then you just take it up. And if there is any corrective actions required, you just do it. You don't have to wait until 1 year or something. You can correct the whole objective itself. You can just maybe put a new objective or eliminate one objective based on your need. As you said, be flexible
yes,
to achieve your overall goal.
yes,
Okay, and
exactly.
then
Yes,
this monthly cycle process, which is measuring and then review meetings and taking actions, is one of the most important thing for the business leaders.
absolutely.
Okay, now this will ensure, and if you have any problem, if there is any emerging strategy, if there is any problem due to VUCA environment or whatever, so you change it. You
Yes,
change your the
yes,
whole process very quickly. You don't have to wait. So this help you a monthly or a weekly or a quarterly process. What do you do? So now, sir,
yes.
what is the key advice, top three advice for the CEOs of a startup or a mid-sized companies? Okay, so that then we will take up these questions. Okay, so what are the
Sure,
three
sure.
key objectives, three idea advice you do it for them? Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So my answer probably would be more philosophical. Okay. Why I say philosophical, I'll explain. But the first one is basically like I like a broken record. It's clarity. Without clarity, uh, you know, whatever strategy you have, it will fail. Okay, it's like running very fast towards the south direction, expecting to reach the north pole in the shortest possible time. Okay, that is one. The second one, I think you beautifully brought it up, though you didn't use this word. I was planning to introduce that in the implementation, if we discuss implementation in detail, um, is a discipline. Okay, great strategy with no discipline also does not work, which means it is a leader's responsibility to find a way of reviewing. You're measuring, like I said, the in-process metrics versus the outcome metrics, right? So in-process is something which will tell you whether you're doing the right things in the right way or not, and are you getting the right results. Okay. So the point is that has to be reviewed on time, and then you can do the adjustments to the to the overall strategy. So my third piece of advice is basically implementation is the game, is the actual game, right? So clarity, discipline, and implementation, the rigor is the game. All others, like do I have the resources
Mm.
and all? Uh, I would generally put them in the realm of constraints
Mhm.
because those constraints, technology, etc., can be solved regardless of your financial situation or wherever you are. But if you lack clarity, discipline, and the rigor for implementation, you can have the best crafted strategies in the world or even the universe can, conjure it for you. You will still, I can give a guarantee that it will fail.
Perfect.
Okay.
Excellent.
That is my
Yeah,
three
that's
pieces of
great. That's very, very,
advice.
very, very relevant, very important, and very simple way to explain that. So I'll
Yeah.
just see that you need to put whatever in your mind on the paper
Yes.
and validate it. So that is your
Yes.
strategy formulation. Okay.
Yeah.
So whatever, if it is valid on the paper, it is good for you because you don't have to remember everything. You just put it down.
Yeah. Actually, I will rephrase valid a little bit.
Hmm.
The point is when you're one of the things about one of the good qualities of founders, entrepreneurs, and all is their ability to take risks. Okay, and so there is not always a case where you can validate
Yep.
your
Yeah.
your this thing. But what you can definitely be very sure about is it's an individual decision. And I think you mentioned, you nicely put in between. Strategy is about making a choice, actually, right? So here also, it's a question of I don't know whether my $1 billion sale at the end of 1 year is true or false. I mean, it's valid thing or not. But the point is, once I made up my mind, I need to start working backwards to
Correct.
see what is it I can do within my existing
Correct.
constraints to make that happen. How far can I go, and how much do I need to
Correct.
stretch?
Correct. Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so that
Yeah.
that's the
So
only
once you have
perspective.
your strategy in place, strategy is a collection
Yes,
of your. It's basically how you want to execute your, how you want to arrive at your value proposition. So to arrive
yes,
at your value proposition, you need to know what are the strategic choices you have, and what you want to select them, okay, and what you want to deliver as a part of value proposition. Then to realize that value, uh, you need to have a capabilities. Okay, so this capability gap closure
yes,
is your strategy plan. While
yes,
closing the gaps of your capabilities, you arrive at your strategic objectives. Okay, so now these
right,
objectives you close them one by one, the gaps, because you cannot do all
yes,
of them together. So you close in a sequence,
yes,
okay, which deliver
yes,
value, so that you don't jump from one to another. And then finally you establish a culture of the review process, and then measuring process,
yes.
and then take actions, the corrective actions. So if you do this in a very simple
I
way,
I
yeah, if you
forgot.
do this in a very simple way,
Yeah,
you are doing a strategy management. So now the question
yes,
is this strategy management for the only larger organizations? No, the strategy management is required
no,
more for the small and mid-size. The reason is, for the larger organizations, there are separate people available to do that. Here you don't have. That means
no,
it is more important to do here.
yes,
Okay, so that's my
yes.
take, sir. Yeah. So let us take up some questions, and if there is,
Perfect.
then,
Yes,
because
sure.
with a very limited time and very interesting topic. So one question from Biniam is, what is the future of strategy should look like? Okay. Mhm.
Uh, can you I mean,
Uh,
can
I
you
think the
repeat the
context
question?
of this is, how does that,
Yeah.
for example, I don't know, but I'm just guessing. Uh, if a company has a strategy for next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, how does it look like?
Okay.
So how can they define, like, that's maybe that is a question. Okay, so mhm.
This is a beautiful
Okay,
question.
it
That is a
depends.
question. It's a
In
beautiful question.
generic balance scorecard framework, okay, so
Yes.
you have your strategic projections. Okay, so what is it you want to achieve next 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, in form of your
Yes.
sales volume or sales revenues? So what
Yes.
is it, 3 years? And then for each year, what is your current gap, and how you close the gap from your strategic objectives? That is a very simple way. We call it as a value gap closure. Very simple way to do that. So it could be a value gap closure,
Yes.
or at the end of the day, you need to achieve those revenue targets. If it is a private managed company, you need to achieve.
Yes.
Okay, so that could be your strategic projections. Okay, and Faisal Ziauddin said that balance scorecard is a strategy tool. How useful is it today, especially when our learned speaker asked us to keep it simple? Okay.
Yes. So balance scorecard, the surprise is it can be made simple. Okay. So can I mean I think I mean not because I am on this particular thing, but because, you know, fruiStrategy product itself is kind of focused on SME. So that's something which I would definitely encourage you all to try. But I just want to add a couple of perspectives for both the questions, the previous one and this one together. Uh, One is how will strategy look like in future, etc. Uh, I think you brought it out beautifully. The perspective I want to add is if you look at any strategy, a good, I mean, I'm borrowing it from Richard Rumel's explanation. Uh, one thing to look out for is you have to distinguish between what is an outcome, what is a barrier, and
Hmm.
what is a
Mhm.
process. Okay? Because I want to achieve $1 billion sales at the end of 1 year is my outcome at that point in time. Okay? Barriers are what are my barriers? For example, I don't have a sales team, I don't have a product for the client I'm addressing, etc., etc. Right? These are my barriers. So my strategy actually addresses how am I going to overcome these barriers in this 1 year time. Okay, while I'm also doing my sales, meeting my thing. Because for example, if I don't meet my 100,000 target, how can I know whether I am on the right path to getting my $1 billion sales? Don't hold me to the numbers at this point, but I hope you get the drift.
Mhm.
Okay. Now coming to the second question about the simplicity, right? What we need to be very clear in our mind as to what we define by simplicity, and um, you know what you need is you need, for example, it's very easy to say that you need to be very disciplined. But the point beneath the point is that you need a way in which you are able to tell, the steps you've taken are the right steps or not. And for that, you need to be very clear as to what will tell me that. And the simplicity of a management system is to be able to tell you that, also be able to give that same feedback to your team. For example, after this 10,000, $100,000 sales in the first 90 days, if I am to go on to jump to 500,000 by in the next in the next 90 days, what am I doing there? I'm doing, I'm, I'm basically giving feedback to my salespeople. With the rate at which you're going today, you have a backlog. Therefore, you need to do something more in our sales. Probably we need some additional help from marketing, and probably we need something else. So everybody comes into one platform or one playing field where they understand that okay, all of us are achieving that. My contribution to this particular goal is ABCDE tasks. Everybody is in alignment with that. I'm not
Mhm.
accountable to others other than the CEO as a production person or as a marketing person. But I understand what am I working towards. If this can be articulated very simply, very straightforward, such that it gives, it's a
Yeah.
communication tool. Think of it as a communication
Mhm.
tool, right? Uh, it will do
Perfect, sir.
wonders.
So I think you need some tool definitely. Okay. So without tool, the
Yeah, you
problem
definitely
is
do need it.
it is not only the methodology. The reason we need to have
Yes.
appropriate methodology like balance scorecard. The reason is not because balance scorecard is great or balance scorecard is introduced by some experts kind of thing. It's not that, in my opinion. It's a easy tool and everybody understands this. If you want to hire anybody who understands balance, but it's very easy. So why you want to make it complicated? Introducing new things or something, make it
Yes.
easy, which is acceptable. And you don't have to use all the things, whatever features, you use it as it required for you. But almost always
Yes.
having a big picture clarity for your business is always better.
Yes.
That big picture clarity
Yes.
that is given by your balance scorecard. Okay. Otherwise, you have a
Exactly. The
possibility that
dashboard.
you miss some part, you hit some part very nicely,
Exactly.
but you miss maybe the major part of it. So to avoid that, you need to have a balance scorecard as a framework. Okay. You can have something. Maybe the
Exactly.
terminology is
Absolutely.
not
I think
really the matter. whether you use it in whatever the
Yes.
terminology you use it. So you need to have it the holistic picture. I think that's the. I
Absolutely.
think we run out of time. I think there is it's a very important topic.
Sure.
We would like to stay to the time because it's long sessions are not going to help.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so let us conclude this show. If I just remember, the strategy is required for small and mid-sized companies. That is one thing. Okay. The second thing
Very
is
essential.
you don't have to write 100 pages book or 100 pages note or 100 slides or something to define your strategies. It could be simple. Make it easy. Okay. Make very clear based on your requirement. Make it, but you have to do it. That is two. Okay, and then execution, whatever you have arrived. Okay, so I think that the value proposition part every business owner knows about it. Okay, because without that, they don't, it's very hard for them to start business. Okay, execution, having a disciplined execution is very important. It is just like if you want to give a task, if you are organized, it looks little slow. Okay, like sharpen the saw. Okay, so if you want to cut, you can just start without sharpening the saw, but if you sharpen the saw, you have a possibility that you achieve correctly. If you don't sharpen the saw, you might even not even achieve your results. So likewise, so let us conclude this. Any concluding remarks, Raj Garu? Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I think you summarized it really very well. I think strategy is a must. You can't wing it. You can't do it
Mhm.
on the fly. It doesn't happen. I mean, the consequences, the pains, the frustrations are all uh,
Mhm.
you know there are volumes that you can actually recount. The second, of course, is the discipline of
Mhm.
executing a strategy. And third is also the rigor, meaning that you set up a process and you
Mhm.
follow your process. And this is not rocket science. And I would, I mean, definitely, I think, have a management tool that gives you that dashboard view as well as a detailed view, so that where required as a leader, as a founder, as an entrepreneur, you're able to zoom in and zoom out, with the
Fantastic.
flexibility.
So I think we'll try to conclude the show. So thank you very much,
Sure.
Mallapraj Garu. Thank you very much for the session.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you,
Thank you for the opportunity.
Faisal. Thank you all the participants. Thank you, Biniam. Thank you all the participants and also for the organizers. So I take this as a big opportunity to thank from fruiStrategy. We are happy to sponsor these events, bring subject matter experts to the companies, and then help them to achieve their strategies. And we are largely successful in doing it. So this is our 10th talk show from in the strategy. So we keep talking every alternate week or so every once in a month. So we bring a new talk show. So thank you very much. And fruiStrategy, thank you fruiStrategy team for supporting that. fruiStrategy is a comprehensive strategy management solution. So it's an enterprise strategy management solution. So whatever we talk just can be done through fruiStrategy. fruiStrategy is suitable for small, mid-size, and very large organizations. It's configurable for your needs. So your strategy, your way. So that is our motive. With that, I take this as an opportunity to thank you one and all. Thank you very much, and have a good luck. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you.